From the Oakland Hills to Jack London Square, from the Port to the Coliseum, this is Talk of the Town, an in-depth conversation about the people and issues important to Oakland.
Hello, I'm Dave Clark. Welcome to Talk of the Town. I'm really glad to see you, and I've got a really good topic today and a really good guest. He's someone I've known for a while, and I like him specifically because he wants to change and improve the lives of young black males in Oakland. My guest today is Chris Chatmon. He is the CEO of Kingmakers of Oakland. Chris, so glad that you're here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Now, we have a lot to talk about, and ever since I've known you, you've been active, high energy, involved with young men in Oakland. Tell me what it is you do and what's the goal of Kingmakers?
Oh, right on. Well, first of all, thank you for having me on the show. Honored to be able to lift up the work that we're doing. Really simply put, Kingmakers of Oakland works with black boys from preschool through PhD to improve their educational life outcomes. We do that through kind of three domains. We work with schools in Oakland, in the Bay Area, across the country that really center black boys while serving all students through 6 domains. We work with school districts around recruiting, training, retaining black male teachers. We work with schools around culturally responsive curriculum and pedagogy. We work with schools around elevating the voices and leadership opportunities for black boys, in particular kindergarten through 12th grade. Also work with school districts around family and community engagement, narrative change. We believe whoever controls the narrative really has the power, and many times the narrative around black boys is deficit. And then the 6th kind of area that we work with schools is around policy change. So that's what really Kingmakers is known for. We were born out of Oakland Unified School District and work with not only Oakland, but other schools in the Bay around those 6 areas. Most recently, though, we bought a 10,000 square foot facility in West Oakland, Black Economic Zone, 1035 7th Street, Cool Labs Design Center and Production House. And this has also broadened our scope of work now, where we're working with middle school, high school, and opportunity age youth, really around workforce development and around music, video production, around animation and manufacturing. And so that's really exciting right now, too, to really help teach and cultivate the entrepreneurial skills of our young kings, and create conscious, positive content that we use in our schools, but also they can monetize. And then the 3rd domain of which Kingmakers of Oakland operates in really is around narrative change. So we do a lot of work locally, but also domestically across the continental United States around lifting up the beauty, brilliance, and innate greatness of our young kings, talking about their stories, the way they've moved through trials and tribulations and have incorporated maybe the mess into their message. And so we capture not only their stories, but the people that support them.
We know some of the difficult things that happen with young men in Oakland right now. Why is it so important for you to be doing what you're doing now?
Wow. Well, if we don't enlist and engage our young people, then at the end of the day, we're going to be spending far more resources on really trying to re-engage them and or what we're spending either in the juvenile justice system or in the criminal justice system. And so it is worth our collective interest as a community, a culture, and a nation that we invest on the front end and really help our young kings understand who and whose they are, help them navigate not only the school community, but communities in general, so they can contribute to their family, their community, but also the country. And so we bring our full self into really engaging, encouraging, and empowering our young people from preschool through PhD. It's really a life continuum to really help them take their crowns out their pocket and rock it.
Now, when I first met you, you were working within the Oakland school system.
That's
what
right.
were you doing then?
Wow. Well, by training, technically, I'm a kindergarten through 8th grade PE teacher, former social studies teacher, former principal. But I was blessed in 2010 when Oakland Unified School District came out of state receivership to lead one of the first, actually create one of the first departments of its kind in a public school system. And that was the Office of African American Male Achievement. And initially, the goal really was to work with community to really understand and address some of the systems, systems, structures, conditions, and culture that weren't really engaging our young kings, but were fueling and feeding the school to prison pipeline. And so then that first year, it was the African American Male Achievement Initiative. And we engaged the community, did some 10 different convenings over the year, from as few as 200 to several hundred adults were coming out. And so it wasn't just my work, it was really the community collective of amazing people in Oakland that really helped think about what could a 5-year initiative in Oakland Unified School District that was not locating the blame or the problem with black boys, but really with the system. And so came up with a number of different strategies that ended up being the basis for what became the Department of, or the Office of African American Male Achievement. So did that work for 6 years. We were lifted up by the White House, my brother's keeper. Got to bring a contingency of young kings from Oakland to meet President Barack Obama. Got to bring another contingency of teachers that got to have conversations with then Secretary of Education Arnie Duncan and the United States Department of Education. And the work we were doing from 2010 to 2016 at that point was actually field leading and giving permission for other districts across the country to actually center those young kings furthest from opportunity and really create a set of solutions, strategies that would help really improve not only their life outcome, but their education outcomes. And so did that work for the first 6 years. And then I think that was the third superintendent I was in, then evolved into the Deputy Chief of Equity and created the Office of Equity for Oakland Unified School District. So the work was born within Oakland Unified School District, and the work still remains within Oakland Unified School District as the Office of African American Male Achievement as well.
Chris, that's exciting.
Yeah, oh, very much so.
You won a lot of awards.
I'll give that.
And I'm sure you're proud of all of these awards.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I think I'm blessed in many ways, to be a vessel. I'm really trying to carry forward the extraordinary work of elders and educators that were here before me, from Marcus Foster, Oakland Unified School District's first black superintendent, to Asa Hilliard, who was a curator of our culture and really tried to instill in all of us to understand the importance of Africans throughout the diaspora and how we impact humanity, to the amazing rites of passage work that Wade Nobles was doing with Simba and Hawk in the 60s, 70s, and early 80s. And I really, in many ways, just had the positional authority in some levels to glean all of the amazing work from the Panthers and others, and then really embed that in Oakland Unified School District, enlist amazing other organizations, EOYDC, Youth Uprising, Boys and Girls Clubs, YMCAs, to really take a moment in time and create a movement. And so on that level, I was honored many ways as the face, but I did not do this work in isolation or in vain of all of the other amazing people in Oakland.
Tell me about your growing up. How did you grew up in Oakland?
Well, actually, I grew up in San Francisco.
In San Francisco.
I had roots really Oakland, Richmond, and in San Francisco. Born and raised, Daly City. Came up through South San Francisco Unified School District, and I think the one point of my struggle during that time was, I was what some people would call now ADHD. Okay. I had an IEP later on, but school wasn't a place where really I saw myself in, and teachers struggled with my, my loquaciousness, my ability just to move around, and so wanted to channel that energy in, and the story I tell in third grade, my desk was in a coat closet for a month until back to school night when my mom came into the classroom, and the parents sit in their desk, and they're like, my mom was like, well, where's your desk, son? And I opened up the coat closet, removed the jackets off my desk to get to my desk, and she was like, your desk is in a coat closet? And she was like, son, go outside, and I have a conversation with the teacher. Needless to say, my desk was no longer in the coat closet, but I think my general experience in public schools was I didn't feel engaged, I didn't feel valued, and where I did feel that value, though, was then the boys club, was Park and Rec. And so it was really in summer camp, where these places and spaces where I got to see folks of similar background really pour love, light, and opportunity in me. And that instilled in me this will and desire to actually want to be a teacher and come back into the school system to ensure students that came from backgrounds such as myself or looked like myself would have an amazing transformative experience. And so a lot of why I do what I do was for those folks outside of school in many ways that poured into me and never allowed me to take this position of a wilted flower and just kept my head up. And so I give that back because it was given to me. Both my mom and my dad, who adopted me, so part of my other kind of journey of kind of understanding who I was this complexity of, I had two parents that loved me enough to let me go, knowing I had two parents that loved me enough to care for me. And so that had a lot to do with that. I am truly a product of the community. And so my way of acknowledging that is to give it back, personally, professionally. So I stand in that purpose now, not just as an individual, but my wife of 27 years. Also,
Bravo.
We
gotta give it to her.
LaShawn. I wouldn't be who I am in many ways if it wasn't for her unconditional love and belief in me and support of me during these moments. Also blessed to have three amazing young sons, all of which in various ways work for Kingmakers of Oakland now, and our educators are leading our fellowship initiative, our artists. And so really, I'm at a point now where it is a community, a family approach to really addressing some of the issues that are happening, not just in Oakland, but in many areas across this country. And so just honored to really leverage the work of Kingmakers of Oakland that allows us to be intentional and unapologetic in centering Black boys while serving all children.
See, that's why I wanted to talk to you, because there's so much in you and to find out about you. My guest again is Chris Chatmon. He's the CEO of Kingmakers of Oakland. For those who may not know Kingmakers of Oakland, if there's a young man, a family, they have a young son, they want to be involved in Kingmakers, how do they approach? What's going to happen to the young man once they come in contact with you and Kingmaker? How does that evolve?
Yeah, and there's various entry points. So in some examples where Kings may learn about the work we're doing in schools, we would encourage Kings to ask their teacher or principal. If Kingmakers of Oakland isn't in their school, they could have their principal reach out to Kingmakers of Oakland and go to kingmakersofoakland.org in terms of resource. But they could ask, how could we get Kingmakers curriculum into our school? Or maybe one of the teachers, how could we provide support to teachers within their schools to use some of our approaches to engaging, encouraging, empowering young Kings. So that could be one domain if they're in a school. They could also tap into Lab's Design Center and Production House. So there we offer our Media Academy. So young Kings that are interested in music, film, animation, or manufacturing, they could register to take some of the classes there. That's another domain. For Kings that are in high school, that are interested in a college access program, we have the Fellowship Initiative that we run 3 Saturdays a month at Arroyo Viejo Park in Deep East Oakland. And that program's sponsored by JP Morgan Chase, where we work with a cohort of 40 young males in 10th grade, and we stay with them for 3 years to really have 100% matriculation into 2 4-year colleges, as well as provide them scholarships and a host of access to amazing, diverse Black mentors, other professionals that can expose them the other opportunities that they can take advantage of. So another way that if there was a young King that was interested in accessing us could be registering, signing up for the Fellowship Initiative. So there's a myriad of different ways. School-based, our place-based at Lab's Design Center Production House, and some of the programs as well.
And you always refer to young men as young Kings.
Yes.
Did you start that, or what inspired that?
Yeah, really I want to give homage to a group of brothers in Southern California, Fluker, and I forget the other brothers. They were doing programming. This was in the 80s and 90s, and actually they were shouted out by Oprah, and they were doing, but the nomenclature of Kings and Queens, when I first launched the body of work in 2010, we took a trip actually down to Southern California just to learn. Again, we're not doing anything new. We're just modeling and replicating things that we know that work that help center our young kings while supporting the school system. So there was a program in Southern California that were working in several high schools, and they referred to their students as kings and queens, and they were doing like all black assemblies and field trips. And so when we just were observing them, it was a team of us, myself, Mia Settles, who's now at UC Berkeley, Buddy, aka Brother Muhammad, who's the unofficial mayor of West Oakland, Brother Misha, who was at he was the principal at Westlake at the time, and we brought a couple of kings, and we all did this tour, and we were all really moved by the staff referring to young people as kings and queens, and we saw it had a visceral effect on students when and many times students are referring to each other as other names, and adults were referring to them in other ways. And what we found when they called them a king and queen, as shared with us by the students, their stature went from here to here. They would look you in the eye. It was just this endearing, affirming word that we were like, you know what? When we come back to Oakland, we want to be able to refer to our young people in that way as well. And another extraordinary brother that's been in Oakland for 26 years, Jerome Gordine, then at that time he was the principal of Frick Middle School in Deep East Oakland, referred to all of the children on his campus as kings and queens. And so, Kingmakers of Oakland doesn't take the credit of coming up with that. We were learning from others, modeled and lifted up from another leader in Oakland, and then just really began to infuse that in all aspects of our work. And now we also refer to kings, queens, and our non-binary royalty for those young people that you have pronouns of them and they. We found that acknowledging their beautiful spirit through non-binary royalty, that they too have crowns as well. And so we're always trying to update and evolve to make sure that everyone sees themselves in the work that we're doing. But that's the origin of kind of how we gleaned that word from Southern California, another amazing leader here in Oakland, and then just embodied that into all aspects of the work we're doing now.
Now, to do all of these things, it takes money.
Oh, absolutely.
How are you getting support? What do you want to get?
Yeah, well, appreciate that. Right. I mean, it's one thing to have clarity around what you want to do, but then, you need resources to manifest the vision. And so really, our first set of investors, Jeff and Tricia Rake's Foundation out of Seattle, New Schools Ventures Fund, invested in us. They were some of the first early investors when we were beginning to transition out of Oakland Unified School District, and we needed capital to hire contractors to begin to develop some of the curriculum. It was philanthropy, really, that stepped in and that just continued as we then were able to receive Bill and Melinda Gates dollars and Balmer dollars and then a host of others. It began to provide a seed money to build out what was a 5-year strategic plan, best in class from Bridgespan, another corporate partner, which then began to expose us to Chan Zuckerberg, who CZI did an extraordinary investment in our work that allowed us to not only fund infrastructure and the ability to scale our work beyond Oakland, but Seattle, Gwinnett County in Georgia, Kankakee, Illinois, North Carolina. It was these sort of investments that allowed us to scale, grow, both depth, create the internal infrastructure to sustain the innovative programming that we're doing. And then we were blessed to receive resources from Mackenzie Scott that weren't
the former
solicited.
Wife of Jeff Bezos.
That's right. And so that investment, we leveraged that investment to buy then what was formerly Zoo Labs in Oakland, now Cool Labs of Oakland, which is our state-of-the-art recording studio, video, animation, manufacturing house. So we've been able to leverage those resources really to build out infrastructure and begin to think about how we sustain ourselves beyond philanthropy and generate fee-for-service work. So we wouldn't have got here if it wasn't philanthropy. Crankstart was another amazing investor in our work early on, but it was a host of national and local funders that believed in the vision, invested in our work. And so, we're continuing to grow, continuing to scale. But the goal, though, is really to decrease the philanthropic footprint so we can increase our ability to be self-sufficient. where we see ourselves going, where our vision is to acquire 300 acres in Mendocino County, which will round off our comprehensive strategy around centering Black boys while addressing this toxic ecosystem. Our goal in acquiring 300 acres is to provide a camp and rites of passage, really year-round programming that provides opportunities for Black boys and the people that serve them and families to get out of this urban built environment that many times is toxic or takes us away from our own mindfulness, our own healing, and the ability really to tap into this form of AI, not artificial intelligence, but ancestral intelligence, where we can draw off the energy of the earth, have conversations at campfire, go on night hikes. I mean, what really helped elevate me in my from adolescent to young adulthood was going to summer camp every year. Our vision and the hope, philanthropy, corporate support, and individuals is for us to manifest this camp where we can really embed our rites of passage programming, our professional development, and mindfulness retreat center. So we're not finished with our scale, but that is part of another aspect of how we want to grow our work. And then it's just going deeper in the work, codifying this work, and serving youth, definitely in Oakland, the greater Bay Area, but also globally.
Chris, that is great. All right, I'm going to claim it on credit before it happens. That's a great, great idea. There are some people, as we begin to wind down, there's some people who can't imagine something like that in Oakland. It's like what we talk about on the news about things that are happening in the streets and things that are out of control. They can't imagine it. What do you say to them? They can't see it, but you know it's possible and that you're working towards a positive change.
Yes. I mean, I think one of the what I would share with those individuals is just have the audacity just to envision their wildest dreams and then align everything they do from their thought to their action to what they say to manifest those dreams. I think we, in many ways, have allowed kind of television to tell our own vision of this, many times this negative perspective of what's going on. And I mean, what is going on is real. But if we don't start with an audacious vision of possibility, of that seeing the beauty, brilliance, and innate greatness of Black boys, of our community and culture, then we're going to continue to operate in that tone and perpetuate that tone. So let's just first start with an audacious vision and then reverse engineer from that and then talk about it, align with people of like mind, of like spirit, resource that, support in that, walk in that cadence. And so for me, I always start with vision first and then align myself with people of similar spirit, similar mind. And when it gets messy, incorporate that into your message. When you stumble, you incorporate those stumbling stones into stepping stones. Read positive things. I mean, I think understanding your history and understanding who we are, that we come from a culture of greatness. We live in a city that has not only had influence in the Bay, but globally. And I think we have to get back and remind ourselves that people that came before us dealt with far more, with far less. And look what they've done. So from my standpoint, all of it is possible. We just got to hold to that vision, talk that talk, walk that walk. And I have faith that, that we will experience extraordinary opportunity in this city, in this county, in this country if we continue to manifest this vision.
We'll continue to lead and grow young kings and be an example with the work you do with the Kingmakers of Oakland. Chris Chatmon, I'm so glad that you're here, and I hope you keep me posted on what it is you're doing and what it is you're trying to do. And no, even when you don't see me, I'm proud of you. I'm cheerleading for you.
Oh, thank you, man.
Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Thank you, man. Our guest has been Chris Chatmon, CEO of Kingmakers of Oakland, and I thank you for being with us, and we'll see you next time on Talk of the Town.